So we are live. Thank you for being there, everyone, and welcome, Shannon Algeo. This is such a pleasure for me. I'm so excited to have you here for this interview. So welcome, Shannon. Hey.
Bonjour, thank you. Merci. Thank you so much for having me. We were just
uh,
saying, je ne peux pas français, j'en prends.
oh,
Uh,
you're good though.
ah. Maybe. Wait, what did we say?
So,
Un de peu?
un petit peu. That's it. Un petit peu.
Un petit
That's
peu.
a little bit. So I had a
Merci.
you're welcome. I had a pleasure to meet Shannon a few days ago at Wanderlust Festival, and I invited him to do this interview because I was so inspired by him, by what he's doing, and his work. And I wanted you to meet him and discover him. So Shannon is a spiritual life coach. He's an international yoga instructor and a host on the iTunes Soul Feed podcast. Shannon is a speaker, coach, and yoga meditation teacher who has helped thousands of people around the globe tune into their life's purpose and activate transformative personal and career growth. He's the co-founder of Soul Feed, top self-help podcast, where Shannon and his co-host have interviewed like Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, Sean Korn, Gabby Bernstein, and more. So we are pleased to welcome here Shannon Algeo. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Janik. Am I pronouncing Janik right?
Janik. It's yeah,
Janik.
Janik.
Okay.
Janik in French.
Janik.
Janik.
Yes, Janik. That feels more right.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be talking to you.
Oh, wonderful. So yeah, so how did you we're not going to go like as, far back as, your when you were young, but at one point we have to discover how you became a coach, how you became a yoga teacher, how come you are now walking this path of transformation. What's your background?
Yeah. So I there I went to Catholic school growing up, and I went to Catholic school for 10 years. When I was 11, I got into theater, performing arts, musical theater. Went to school for musical theater. So I grew up meditating, although it was called prayer. It wasn't called meditation. But I grew up with silent spaces to connect with myself. Built in silent spaces to connect to myself and to connect to a higher power, whatever that means. God, universe, higher power, energy greater than me. And so then I got into theater, and I sort of left that whole Catholic world and connected to performing and community and dancing and singing and connecting to a power greater than me through dance and song and movement and through acting. Um, and I share back in my in the talk that you saw at Wanderlust
Yes.
on career manifestation, I share more details about that. But ultimately, I fell out of love with theater in the sense that I got a really clear hit my senior year of college that I didn't want to pursue musical theater as my career. However, I just got a degree in musical theater, 4 years, 160,000
That's it.
US dollars. And so I was pretty devastated and confused, lost, but clear that I was here for a purpose bigger than myself. And so I ended up moving to New York City. That's where all my friends were moving at the time. That's where I always wanted to move. And I landed on a yoga mat And the yoga mat became a very healing space for me because I didn't know this in the moment intellectually, but I felt it energetically and I know it now. And it's that there was a union that happened. That's what yoga means, is to yoke.
Yeah.
It means union. It means to become one again. There was a union that occurred with me on the yoga mat between my sacred, still Catholic school self that had been taught how to connect to that higher power in sacred time and space called meditation or prayer, whatever you want to call it. That self was connected with my dancer self.
Yeah.
And the part of me that was a dancer was quite wounded at the time because when I was on stage, I had to perform. I had to be perfect, look perfect, be on the right mark, on the right stage, next to the right person, on the right beat. And there is a beauty to that, but there's also a prison to having to be a certain way in your
Mm-hmm.
body in order to please a dance teacher or a choreographer or a whole audience. And so when I landed on the yoga mat, I had this union, this connection to myself of, oh my gosh, I can close my eyes, move my body and breathe, and also not care about how it looks, and connect to that sacred space within myself where I'm tapping into that, whatever you want to call it, sacred space, divinity, truth. And so that began my path as a yoga practitioner, which led to my path as a yoga
Mm-hmm.
teacher, which led to my path becoming a coach. Um, and just a little bit of information going back to when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to become a coach when I was working for Lululemon, and they put me through the Landmark Forum training. And I realized that I am here to help people remember and recognize their power.
Yeah.
And when I look back to who I was as a kid, there's just a little story I'll share. My parents used to have their friends over for like cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, and and I would remember I would be obsessed with sitting with the adults and listening to their adult conversations. And I would come so alive. I would literally come alive feeling so high, hearing insights into their adult minds. And then I would I would see their problems, but I would see them from a different point of view because I
Yeah.
wasn't like stuck in it the way that they were. And I would just give them advice. I would give my
Really?
parents' friends advice, and the feedback I would get was, "Oh my gosh, like Shannon, thank you so much. You're so wise beyond your years. Like that's actually so helpful. You're so helpful and positive." And so now that I'm a coach and doing the work that I'm doing with people, I look back and I see how this is actually like something that has been a part of me for a very long time. And
Yeah.
only in the past few years have I allowed myself to have the confidence and the courage to follow through with that path for my career.
This is the key, to have the courage and the confidence to really follow, because you've invested a lot of time and money in in your studies, but then you realize it's not fulfilling you. So you had the courage really just to connect with that and just follow through. And you made things happen. And I want to, you shared a story about um, when you were working in when you decided to move to New York, and you were really struggling then. There was a year of struggling or questioning. That's before you worked for Lululemon, right?
Yes.
What
Yeah.
was that? That's when you discovered yoga. But I really want people to know that, it's not always been like really all fun and, all just laid out for you. So can you tell us a bit about that moment that happened when you were working like $8 an hour in 2008? That really
Yeah.
struck me. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, it was like, oh, the Great Recession. Why
Yeah,
don't I move to New York City, one of the most expensive places in the world, at age 22
yeah,
and start to build a life here now? I mean, it didn't really feel like I had a choice at the time, but that's what happened. And yeah, that first year that I lived in New York City, I I had read Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. And the teaching of that is that if you become present in the now, it's called. Eckhart Tolle refers to it as the now. Buddhism refers to it as the now. Oh,
he has something to say.
That's how excited we are about the now. That's how excited. Ginger, come.
Funny.
She usually doesn't bark this long, only when I'm on interviews. No. Shh. Here, we can show you. Ginger.
Hello.
No. We can show you how cute Ginger is.
Hello, Ginger.
Yes, thank you,
Good.
Yes, so she found her life's purpose, and she is always in the now.
That's it.
So, honey, no. So when I read that book, A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, I knew, okay, I am here for another reason. I am here for another reason other than to perform, other than to be performing as my career. And I had no idea what that reason was. And so, and I really want people to hear this because it was in my story and it's a part of my experience, is oftentimes before clarity, there is a lot of confusion. And if you are in the depths of darkness, shadow, and really in a dark night of the soul of your own human experience, and there is confusion, it's so important to find the remembrance that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And this confusion is actually preparing you to find that clarity. And that first year for myself was like, I mean, I was smoking weed by default, like just too much, where it was adding to my cloudiness and my confusion. I was deciding between paying for food and paying for rent. I had an emotionally abusive boss, and I was not getting paid to make a living, to really pay my bills, and it was a really dark time because there was this feeling of like, oh my gosh, like maybe that circumstance that I just described is somewhat bearable when you're working towards something. But at the time, I didn't know what I was working towards. I was completely confused about what I was here to do on the planet. Like, I knew I was here for something meaningful, to be of service in some way, but I wasn't on the path yet. Now, you could say, well, maybe I was on the path. I was on the path because that was my path. But I wasn't aware. I didn't have that clarity about where this was moving towards. And so, through a lot of faith in myself and in life itself, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that this has to be leading somewhere, that there has to be something more that I am here for. And through the support of some key people and key moments, like finding yoga and the yoga teacher who invited me into her training and gave me a big discount at the time so I would be able to do the training, and then gave me the opportunity to work with clients and teach privately. There are people who had my back, but I had to have my back first. I had to get clear about, okay, I want to do a yoga training, and I'm certain of that, and I'm going to find a way. And then once I had that level of certainty and that passion inside of myself, then someone could see that in me and say, I'm going to help this guy out. And so it's so important to remember, if one of my favorite teachers, dear friends, Sean Korn, says, everything happens the way that it's supposed to in order for your soul to transform. So if there's something that you're going through, perhaps it is strengthening you and helping you clarify where it is that you're headed. And so that no matter how hard something is, our work is to use our life experience, our humanness, and our hardships to alchemize and clarify and build strength and fire and courage toward our unique purpose.
Wow.
That's the
That was a
work.
shock. That's wonderful. Really inspiring. Um, so
Yeah, it's
you
yeah.
discovered, like um, it was clear to you that there was something more, and so you started on that path as a yoga teacher, started to coach people, um, and now you are an amazing coach and a speaker, inspiring, really, truly. Your talk at Wanderlust was really inspiring. It was on career manifestation. And can you tell us what it means, career manifestation first? What it,
Yes.
what does it mean?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Like, what does it mean?
Yeah.
So I believe that our careers are more than just what we do with our work in our lives. That is a important part of it. But when I use the word career, career to me means this that we are all here for a reason. We're not here randomly. We're not here just floating in space and time. We are conscious human beings who are given these bodies in this time. And the
Mm-hmm.
question becomes, what are you going to do with this precious opportunity called life? Life that gets to be lived and expressed and known consciously through your eyes, through your body, through your life force. And so I believe that there is a human evolution happening here. I think we can see that evolution is a part of our human and non-human life experience. And the interesting thing about human beings is that we have this power of choice. We have consciousness. We are life becoming aware of itself. And so we get to choose how we spend our time, who we spend our time with, what we invest our time and energy and life focus into. And I believe that we are all here for a reason, and that
Mm-hmm.
should we wake up to the power that is contained within each of us, we can actually tap into that reason. Why am I here? Why is Shannon here? And when I am living in alignment with that why, that purpose, that reason for being here, I can contribute to the empowerment and to the peace of my relationships, of my
Mm-hmm.
community, of every person who I come into contact with, um, and of the planet. Peace
Yeah.
on the planet. What does peace on the planet actually look like? And it starts with us. And if I'm not connected to my power to be an awake, present, conscious individual, then I cannot contribute to the planet in an empowered way, because I will say, well, someone else is responsible for the fact that things aren't working out for me, or I am imprisoned to this situation. And don't get me wrong, there are systemic oppressions and there are things that occur in our lives that cause us to experience victimization and hardship. And with all of us, we have an opportunity to decide how am I going to relate to that and use it to get connected to my purpose and contribute peace to this world. And so that's what I mean by career. It's like our purpose, like what is your Janique? What is
Yeah.
your reason for being here? And when you know that, you can manifest it. So
Mm-hmm.
manifestation, and so in the free career manifestation workshop, we go through in video 3 actually what's called the masterful manifestation technique. So it's actually, the word technique sounds silly because it's much more than a technique. It's like a divine energy system. But we go through how to manifest something into your life, not from like oh, how do I manifest something into my life as if my life is like everything outside of me, but
Yeah.
I am life. So if I'm going to
Yeah.
manifest something into my life, I'm going to manifest something through my life force. And the book A Course in
That's it.
Miracles, the spiritual metaphysical book A Course in Miracles,
I
and
have it
also many
somewhere.
spiritual teachings. Many spiritual teachings teach. There it is. There she is.
Yeah.
So there is no separation between the outer world and the inner world. And so the process of career manifestation is getting into inner alignment with your thoughts, with your voice, with your heart, with your confidence, with your relationships, with your money, and with your actions. And when we get into alignment internally, we
Yeah.
start to attract and align with what it is that we want to manifest, create, see externally in our lives.
And it's not like really, it's not like magic. Sometimes, some people will be skeptical about that. What do you mean? Like it's just gonna happen, like, but it's more than that. You really have to vibrate this, this whole being into, what you have to do. And um, so through manifestation, that's what you mean. You mean your career, and you know what you have to do. And can you tell us like the manifestation part? Because sometimes people think, well, what I'm gonna land a job, I'm gonna create my dream job, what does it look like on the physical 3D world,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. Thank you for asking that and speaking to that, because that's so important. So manifestation
Yeah.
is the process of bringing something that is a higher vibrational energy. And so when I say higher vibrational energy, what do I mean? A thought. A
Mhm.
thought is a higher vibrational energy. I cannot see or touch or hold the thought. It is,
Mhm.
but I know that I'm thinking about communicating to you, Janique, right here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it's the manifestation is taking something that is an idea, an inspiration, a vision, a possibility, and bringing it into a lower vibrational energy, which is like a physical
Yes.
form. Like I'm holding this rock in my hand. I can hold it. So basically, it's like for anyone who's like, well, yeah, what is this magic? It's like, well, okay. You ask yourself, do you have thoughts? Do you have a
Yes, I do.
voice? Do you have a heart, an emotional uh, life? Do you have emotions, anger, joy, passion, resentment, fear, grief, love, excitement, enthusiasm? Do you have a core? Do you
Yeah.
have a gut? People the people say like I had this gut instinct that I needed to do this, and I listened to it, and I avoided this
Yeah.
thing, or I met this person who I was meant to meet. You have a gut. That's your sense of self.
Yeah.
So do you have a self? And then you can ask yourself, do I have relationships? Do I have like a creative impulse, masculine energy, which is you know more kind of like fire and impulse, like an impulse to create, and feminine energy, which is more like water and space to create. Um, and do each of these things are very practical. Like, so how can I have some level of choice around my thoughts? How can I
Mhm.
choose to speak words that are in alignment with the vision that I want to create? So if I have an idea
Yes.
for a great business idea, how am I using my words to speak that idea into existence? And then, if thinking of that, is my heart in it? So emotions have an amazing power to fuel your actions, because
Yeah.
think about it. When you're passionate about something, you're just inspired into action. You just want to do it. You're excited to do it. So our emotion, a lot of people in Western world like tell there's not so much anymore. This is definitely shifting, but there's this like, oh, emotions are bad, and we want to
Yeah.
like remove feeling and be very like intellectual and logical. That's insane. That's cutting off a part of our life force that's debatably the most powerful part of our life force. Our emotions are what make us care. And this is the question of like, if your heart is in something,
Yeah.
then you will be unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
So part of what we talk about in the free career manifestation workshop is like is that your why statement is your heart. That's like why
Yeah.
you even care about any of this. And when you care about something and your heart is in it,
that's it.
yeah.
Things start to shift.
And we need that for the
Yeah.
longevity of like if you're going to really play the long game with something and it's not going to just be a fleeting like, oh, this would be a good business idea, but then you
Yeah.
never see it through. For the longevity of something, your heart's got to be in it.
Yeah. So true. I so agree with you. Wow.
And
So I
then in
just,
video two,
yeah,
sorry, just
two.
one more thing. In video two of the career manifestation workshop, oh yeah, I see you just linked
Yeah,
it.
see the
Um,
link for the free video series. Yeah. So go
yeah,
ahead. Video number 2.
video number two is
Yeah.
I shared the 5 key practices of confident leaders. So
Yes.
these are really practical things. So like once you have a great idea, once you're speaking it into existence, once you know your heart is in it,
Mm-hmm.
then it's like the thing that I hear the most from my clients is like, well, what if I don't have the confidence?
Yeah.
Where do you get the confidence? What if I don't think I'm ready or I don't? So that's what we really get into in video two are like practical ways
Yeah.
to tangible, simple things you can do to build confidence in yourself now, because that's where people get stopped up a lot of times when they have a great heart intent, great
Yes.
intention of the heart. Then without the confidence, it doesn't get manifested into the physical world so people can say, oh shit, she's
Yeah.
doing it.
That's it. I know you shared those 5 key things during the Wanderlust, and for me there was one that really struck me. I was like, yeah, that's missing for me, and
Which one?
really, getting a mentor,
Mm.
really, because I have been, with I have been studying with Shiva Ray, and for the past 2 years, my life just took a turn, totally different turn, and I no longer felt the need to go back to LA and just, getting her teachings. And now I find that there's like an empty space. There's like, yeah, I need to have someone to mentor me into what is happening in my life right now. That is totally different from the yoga world. Well, it's not totally different. It's always connected. But in a way, my life just transitioned into something else. And yeah, so.
Yeah, well, mentorship is such a beautiful thing because it does many things for us. Like one, it reminds us that we don't have to do it alone. And
Yeah.
entrepreneurship can be feel very solo, and like you're kind of going at it alone. And so I think it's really important to have your people in your team because I mean, I in this past year finally hired like the most divinely perfect assistant and marketing director,
Yeah.
and now my business is not only financially supporting me, but it's supporting something larger than me. Of course, the work is supporting something larger than me, but now literally the business is supporting something larger than me, and there's a team dynamic. So it's
Yeah.
more about the mission and the work and less about me. And it's weird
Yes.
because I think I thought like, oh, who do I think I am to hire an assistant? But actually, it's allowed me to be more helpful and more efficient doing that. So when we have a team, and not just people that we hire, but also mentors. The other
Yeah.
powerful thing about having a mentor is who is doing what you want to do,
Yeah.
and they're already doing it. And of course, like
Yeah.
you're going to do it in your unique way. But when
Yes.
you have someone who's the proof is in the pudding, like they're already living that life, running that business, and so you can get insights into how and remembrance that it is possible in those moments where the going gets tough.
Mm-hmm.
That is so key. And all of the great leaders I know are students and have mentors
Yeah,
who buoy them
that's it.
when it feels like it's a little hard to go on your own.
Yeah, surely. So this pre-training is available only for a few days, right? It just a few days. Do you have like
Yeah.
dates or so
Yeah, it
people can
started in
sign up through
August.
through the link that I shared, and it's available for a few days only, right?
Correct. Yeah, it started August 28th and it's available through the first week of September.
Okay.
So I'd suggest if anyone is interested in going through the free career manifestation workshop, definitely click the link that Eugenique
Yeah.
posted, because I want everyone who is feeling like they would benefit from this work to be able to do the workshop while it's still available.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the workshop is great because it deals with how to turn your purpose into your career, how to cultivate confidence in yourself, practical ways to build confidence, and then how manifestation actually works. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's really helpful for getting your mind right and thinking about what is possible for your life, beyond what you may have already thought about. And so, yeah, I
Yeah.
would love if anyone wants to join us.
Yes.
Get on the bandwagon, and it's totally free. So come
And as
along.
I always say, you have to do the work, like because Shannon shares like at the end of I guess each videos, the first one I watched, you have to do the work. There's a something that you can inquire within and just connect with your purpose, with your career, with what you want to manifest in life. So the it's video one, then you do the work, then you go to video two, then you do the work. So it's a few days between each video. So you have time to digest the
Yes.
information. Really.
Yes. And in videos 2 and 3, there are some simple but really good PDF homework
Okay.
worksheets that people can download, and so you can actually take the lessons and either download it to your computer or even print it out and like put them into practice immediately. Because it's an inspiring training. It's inspirational, and it is practical too. And when you put them into practice, when you put the lessons into practice, that's when you see the results in your life and your career.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's I think it's all the time we've got. I mean, I said 20 minutes to Shannon. Now we're like 35 minutes in. So thank you for your time, really.
Thank you so
I would
much,
keep
Janique.
going.
Is Oh my gosh, you are Janique. I have to say your name, Janique. Thank you so much for having me and for connecting. You are so lovely. I'm so excited that Wanderlust was
Yes,
a great excuse for us to meet.
that's it.
Um,
It was.
and I look forward to connecting more.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you so much. And go click the link and watch the video. There's a lot to learn, and thank you so much. I'll see you. I'll connect through, videos, and I hope we can meet again soon in person because you're wonderful.
Yes.
Really keep doing the
Oh,
great
thank
work you're
you.
doing. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much. You're wonderful
everyone.
too.
Okay.
Au revoir.